Everyone, this is Ross, and today we're going to look at the fig trees. I want to show you guys some real special stuff because we have quite the difference here on the patio between trees that have gotten a head start, that are fully leafed out. We've pinched them, we've thinned them, and then trees over here that are really just sort of waking up and really starting to put on that growth. You can see a lot of them now are getting about 4 or 5 leaves per limb, which is really nice to see. Obviously this time of the year, it's only April 29th, but I want to show you guys the difference because this is the future here. So for those of you guys who look like this video is going to make a whole lot of sense so that we can get to this point, or when we get to this point, I can show you exactly what needs to be done to have productive fig trees. I also want to show you guys 2 trees that are really tasty, 2 varieties that also have an incredible form to them. That this is kind of what we should be aiming for all the time with our potted figs. So this is Col de Dent Blanc, and Col de Dent Blanc is in a 15-gallon size container, and I pruned it specifically last year to get a really nice shape. You can see back in here we took out a really large cut here, and also a cut here and a cut here. So we took out a lot of wood. We sacrificed a lot of growth last year. This tree originally was in a 40-gallon size pot. It was a very vigorous grower. I bumped it down actually this year. We root pruned it in the fall of last year to a 15-gallon, and it is really leafed out nicely in the greenhouse. You can see there's a lot of thick growth on here. That actually, there's a Brava, believe it or not, and there's also main crop that is forming now because we pinched this tree very recently. Within the last 5 or 7 days, actually a bit more than that, maybe the last 10 days, and now the main crop is finally forming, and it's actually quite progressed. I would say in the next 7 days or so, this tree is going to look completely different because it's going to be filled with these really small figlets at every single node. And there's about, if I counted correctly, I think there's about 12 or 13 new branches. You can see there's one back in here as well, and there's even another one down here. This small one, I decided to leave it, but we pinched it, took off that growth to let these other branches keep going. And that's really the appropriate number, is 12 to 13, 15 at the most, because right, this is in a 15-gallon size container. So we can have up to 15 fruiting branches that will support that main crop, have enough time to get that really strong, thick growth to then be able to pinch this later in the season. The beauty of this is that we didn't have to pinch every single branch. You can pinch some branches here, and the rest of them, in fact all of them, will start to fruit, which is really nice. If you just start triggering that and send that signal, it kind of goes throughout the whole tree, and it's really nice to see because this can then continue to grow. I haven't seen this across the board with all of my trees, but definitely with this tree is that this is going to continue to grow and also fruit at the same time. Once this tree resumes growth, right, it starts putting out those fruits, it resumes growth, the temperatures warm up a bit here. You can tell it's almost getting dark, it's a little cool out tonight. But once it resumes that growth, we're gonna pinch it again. We're gonna pinch it sometime in June, maybe June 1st, June 15th. Whenever these trees put out a reasonable amount of growth again, we're gonna pinch it again because we've already got about 50 fruits on here, at least, that are gonna put out fruit for me about August 1st. That's 90 days from today. We pinched about 10 days ago, so 90 days from today is really what we're looking at with right main crop on Col de Dent Blanc. That is incredible. This is a really late variety. The greenhouse has done wonders for me. So I'm really impressed with the shape. I'm impressed with the fruit set that's gonna be on this tree. This is unheard of for a really late variety here in my climate. This is something special. So I wanted to show you guys this. I want to show you guys my Italian 258 as well, because Col de Dent Blanc and Italian 258 are some of the most tastiest varieties I have. Col de Dent Blanc actually being the tastiest. I really love the texture. The flavor is also quite incredible, complex. But that's kind of the difference between what these guys are at right now, what we talked about with the Col de Dent Blanc tree, and these. So we're kind of getting to that point over here. We need to get this growth going as fast as humanly possible, as much heat, as much fertilizer, enough water, and these things are going to go nuts, as they kind of really are. And then what's going to happen, again, sometime in June, we're going to pinch them. But we're not going to be able to pinch them twice. We're only going to give them one pinch because these guys have already put out, or are going to put out, a pretty good crop of fruits. They're going to resume growth, and then we can pinch again. But these guys are just kind of getting started, so it's not really what we can do, but you know, it is a possibility for the trees that have woken up and have been awake in the greenhouse. So those are really the two big differences between the two trees, and that's kind of the future, right? So hopefully everyone understands that at this point. I want to show you guys one more tree, which is the Italian 258 here in the greenhouse. Has an incredible structure to it. Also in a 15-gallon size pot, up to 15 fruiting branches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but that's been pinched and that really hasn't grown. This one actually has been pinched sort of naturally in the greenhouse without any of my help here. And you can see it's actually putting out fruit right now. This little bump here on the branch is a new fruit, which then is triggering the rest of the tree to then put out these little figlets down here. You can sort of see that. If the camera would ever focus for me, we could be good. But I think we're at about 5 or 6. We won't count that one, so we'll go down to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 down there at the bottom, 10, 11. We're at about 11 or 12 new fruiting branches for this 15-gallon size pot. We come back to this permanent structure year after year. So when we talk about thinning, we talk about pruning, this is what we're trying to achieve. This is it. This is the size, this is the shape. All the branches are going out in their own direction. They're not shading each other out. They're getting thick, they're getting strong. They put on so much growth that then we can then take off the tip. What does pinching look like again? Very simple. We come in here, take the tip. If there's a leaf here, we can try and leave that. Sometimes you can't always get that to happen, and you literally just pinch that off with your thumb or your fingers, and voila, the sap comes out. That's going to send different hormones to the plant, tell it to fruit, really. So that's really growing figs 101, guys. I mean, I can't really get probably any more specific than that, I would think. It's really just up to you guys to do that for yourself, because when you do that for yourself and you do all the things I mentioned, it's all going to click. It's all going to come forward, and everyone's going to be like, oh wow, I get it now. So this is really growing figs in a container. I hope you guys enjoy this one. We saw the future, we're looking at the present, and we got to see 2 really nicely shaped trees. I'll talk to y'all soon. Take care, guys.